Today, I shall read you a story.
Episode 9 of No Choice But to Remember It. Bullies. Evan Jarvis's diary. I like bugs. The other kids think they're gross, but I always like them. There would be a spider on the floor, and instead of screaming and stomping on it like I'd normally watch the others around me do, I'd just watch. It would crawl using all of its little legs, and I'd smile. Sometimes I'd talk to them, or move them to the outside world so other kids wouldn't hurt them. I like holding spiders. I've never been bitten by a bug. I think they like me, although some adults would roll their eyes and say that bugs don't like people, or that I need to put down the little creature, although most adults would leave me alone. The other children would always make fun of me. They called me Bug Boy, which I didn't mind too much, but it was clear that it wasn't supposed to be a good thing. No one wanted to hang out with Bug Boy. People would throw dirt at me and the trash. They'd say I was gross and that I was weird. Even the other boys, who mostly liked gross things, thought I was weird as well. They thought I was weird because I didn't want bugs to die, but I wanted to talk to them. I had made friends with a spider, a big one. I made them a little top hat with a pretty bow on it, and the other boys laughed at me, saying that I shouldn't play dress up and that I should be strong and squish the little thing. I didn't want to, and my classmate Matthew stomped on it instead. Matthew laughed with all the other boys, as all the other girls talked about how strong he was, except for Hannah, who said that anyone could kill a bug. And they started a competition, running, strength. It was a big thing that all of the kids would gather around the playground and see who'd win that round. While they were doing that and the adults were distracted, I took the corpse of my spider friend and dug a small hole by the tree to the far right of the playground. I snuck them in and buried them. Next to me stood Button, Spindle, and Widow. I stuck a stick in the dirt where I buried the dead spider. Their parents sat next to me, looking upon the grave of their child. I placed the top hat I made on the ground. Buttons then left and came back with a collection of small flowers. At that point, others had come too. Ants, worms, beetles, bees. Any bug in sight came and brought something. The ants brought crumbs. The worms brought a leaf that was the perfect sign for the stick. The beetles and the bees brought their best and brightest flowers. Everyone stayed quiet as they attended the funeral. Soon the bell rung and I had to leave. The next day on the playground, I wrote with marker on the leaf what the spider's name was. Me and the spider's family came every day. Sometimes others would come by as well, until soon it was just me, sitting. Matthew and Hannah would come up to me. They greeted me with a normal mocking, "Hey, Bug Boy," and I'd let out a hum. Matthew bent down and looked at my stick and leafed and laughed, saying that it was a silly bug and that I needed to grow up. Hannah had smiled and stomped on the hat that I made long ago, crushing the perfect leaf and cracking the stick. The next words Matthew spoke, "Be careful, Bug Boy, because I think I have one more bug to squish." And him and Hannah walked away. The next day, we got a new kid, Artie Tomomi. And of course, being the new kid, came the new kid fame. The whole class tried to make friends with this kid, but Artie was nice and didn't fit in. But Artie didn't react to the people. I'd normally cry when the adults told me I was weird, that I shouldn't do fashion, that bugs were gross. But Artie, they'd just glare. Artie wasn't a boy or a girl, which isn't a hard concept to grasp. They explained it well, and everyone understood. It was obvious they did. About 2 days later, the others had milked out all of the attention they could get, and they started not to care again. They started to come after me again. I wanted to speak to Artie so much. The others started to have the rush of the new kid again, but it was clear, to Artie as well, that they only wanted to be friends with them for popularity. Artie didn't speak to them, so all the kids started to leave them alone. Matthew killed another spider one day, but this time I yelled. He had picked up a spider out of my hands and ripped off their legs one by one. I had yelled to stop and I started to cry. That's when someone punched me in the face. When I woke up, I was at my house. The next day, Hannah wasn't there. I should have known sooner. Every time someone made fun of me, I never saw them again. And I'd look across the room, and Artie smiled at me, and it made my day. One time at the playground, I was at the spot with the crushed leaf and hat, and I felt a poke at my shoulder. And the world was dark. Artie was behind me, holding a single flower, and placed it down. They had sat next to me and stayed until the teachers called. That night I was alone in my dark room. I saw something move in the darkness. Me and Artie hung out more and more. Artie didn't mind the bugs, and we slowly became inseparable. Matthew still mocked us, and he was getting to me. But I wasn't alone in the quiet dark of my room at night. As a thing that was made by my Artie came up to me and smiled and said that they knew who was next. Matthew made his own demise the moment he killed that spider. It's funny how the spider he killed, the name on that leaf now broken, it was Matthew. Maybe, if it wasn't crushed on that leaf, he'd see the fate to be. But this is more fitting. Matthew the spider is crushed, and everything that once was a part of their life is crushed as well. And soon no one will ever think of Matthew again. He was destined to be a crushed memory. The answer. Artie helped me learn it. I'm closer to my bugs than I ever was before. Good night, Matthew. Don't let the bed bugs bite. When the shadows move, you know you can't fight.